Good morning, it's Carrie. This morning something happened to me that made me think about why women get so upset in a conflict with their partner. Like if they feel threatened or there's a misunderstanding, a lot of times women will almost get hysterical. But I wanted to explain a little bit about why that happens, and then I want to try to kind of look at the other side as far as I can. As a female, I want to see why men so often exit when a woman begins to feel like hysterical. So this morning my son missed the bus and I really wanted to sleep in. I had my windows covered. I was just planning on getting some sleep, and after a really busy day yesterday, I was really looking forward to it, and I was in deep sleep when I heard the knock on the door, and then my son came in and said, "I missed the bus and I need you to take me to school." And I could see that he didn't want to tell me that, that he really hated that. But I felt sorry for him to have to, be afraid to tell me that. But I felt sorry for myself too, that I wasn't going to get what I needed and wanted. And so anyway, while I was driving him to school, I asked him, what would you do to make sure this isn't a pattern of you missing the bus this year like it was last year? Because I had to wake up every week practically to take him to school at least once a week, and I just I felt so afraid it was going to be like that again. So I said, just tell me what to do, because I don't want to be mean. I don't want to take things away from you, take your phone away. I don't want to tell you can't see your friends. I don't want to be one of these parents that have to go after what you love the most to teach you a lesson. And he said, I probably would, and I was like, really? Does it really come down to that? Like, I have to go after what you love to get you to understand and care about what I'm going through? Because I guarantee you, if you were me, you would wake up, because you would understand how deeply I really wanted to sleep in today, and I didn't want to spend my gas money on this either, so I just feel kind of violated. Anyway, I looked at his face, and what he wasn't sorry exactly. It was afraid. He was afraid that he was hurting me. He was afraid that he failed. He was afraid that, I don't know what all he was afraid of, but I could see on his face it was more fear than compassion. And I realized I was missing the mark. And, but yet I was still just as hurt and confused for myself. I can't worry about everything at once, and at that time I just had such a conglomeration of anger and fear of not getting my needs met. And so anyway, I think finally what I realized was this: there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, I'm not saying, but I mean, he's twice my size. He's a big grown dude for the most part, and there's not a whole lot I can do to make him get up on time. And it made me realize this could be a long 5 years of me getting up and driving him to school if I don't figure out a way to make it his problem and not mine. So basically, it's just me and the kids. So, I mean, I don't really have anybody to back me up or anything. And not that I need it. My kids are very respectful, and I know he doesn't do it on purpose. But basically, bottom line is this: women get hysterical because they don't know how to get their needs met. There's problems when you ask for what you want. Mostly the fact that when women ask for what they want, like, I really would like to sleep in today, and it's really important to me. So often that just goes dismissed and unheard. A lot of men don't realize how much she needs it. And after that happens a couple of times and it dawns on a woman, I can't get anything I need, women tend to get hysterical. When a woman needs a man to be faithful, or she needs his attention romantically, and he continues to give it to other women instead of her, his desire, she becomes hysterical because she can't see a way out. There's no answer in her mind, and she just has to bend over and take it, and it's just a very powerless feeling, and it just it's horrible. And I think it's up there with jealousy. It's one of the worst feelings a woman can have. Like, she has nobody to consider her feelings and take up her case. That's what a woman's constantly trying to do. Get a man to consider her feelings. Not do everything she says, but consider her feelings when he makes decisions. So, you know, a man is not considering a woman's feelings when he sleeps with someone else or looks at pornography. He's not considering how this might affect her. She's saying, hey, love me enough to walk in my shoes a little bit before you make a decision with something that means so much to me. So I would say that women are basically, they can easily careen out of control in an emotional conversation, because that only happens when she feels unheard or has been unheard for a very long time. If she feels unheard, her feelings feel like they're not being considered, and she feels powerless to get what she needs. So that's why women get hysterical. And for men, I think that what it is this. When a woman gets emotional or hysterical, I think that men don't fully understand it, because I think for a man to act like that, he'd have to be literally having a heart attack. I think that it's so foreign to men to see that kind of emotional hysterics, because he'd have to be dying to go through that he tends to, I heard this from John Gray in Mars, the women are from Mars and men are from Venus, or whatever. The opposite of that. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Okay, so I think that, what was I saying? So basically, men become alarmed when they see women get so hysterical because they can't relate to it. And if they had been that emotional, that display that much emotion, they would have to be pretty much dying. So basically it's that men imagine that it's worse than it is. Now, on an emotional level, it can be as bad as it can get, but it's not physically painful to women to be that upset. I mean, it is a little bit, but women can handle a lot more emotional feelings than men can. So imagining that you're killing her that's not the case. I mean, if that's what men are thinking, and I could be wrong, but this is kind of what I heard in Mars and Venus, and I think that when men imagine that a woman's emotions are way worse than they actually are, they just exit almost as a mercy. Like, if I'm upsetting you this bad and you can't calm down, I'll just take myself away so that you can calm down. So I think that men almost exit in emotional conversations to help as a mercy, as a sacrificial kind of love for their woman. I think some kind of trying to help her calm down. Number one, it does not calm her down, and I'll tell you why. If you were in a battle, and this is for men, if you were in a battle and your man your buddy got shot down, you don't leave a man behind. That's how women see emotional pain. If somebody's injured, you gather around them. You don't just leave them there to bleed to death and say, oh, he'll calm down eventually. That's why it makes women even more hysterical when you say, calm down, or I'm not going to listen to this. I'm going to go in the other room. And I understand there's a limit to, and we're not talking about abuse here. We're talking about a woman that's really hurt, and you can tell she's really having a hard time, and, that kind of thing, not abuse. But anyway, and abuse definitely has to be limited on behalf of men or women. So basically, so when men exit, a woman is horrified. It's like you would have, for a woman, and then this is where the misunderstanding gets even further. For a woman to leave a man or a woman when they're in distress, emotional distress, she would have to hate them. So when a man exits while she's in emotional distress, it blows her mind, because all she can relate to is that for me to act the way he's acting right now, exit the conversation while I'm this upset, I would have to hate someone with all of my heart. I would have to hate someone to walk out while they were crying. Because to her, it's like leaving a man behind when he's been shot and wounded. And when rejection happens and a man says something he doesn't mean or something like that, and she's just like blown away by that, most of this whole thing here is misunderstandings. here's the thing, we cause real injuries when we misunderstand each other, but little by little we can start to catch on to what each other is actually going through, and it helps us to forgive truly. Because I think forgiveness should be a natural occurrence. I don't believe in this when people say you have to forgive your neighbors or you won't be forgiven and all this garbage. That's not exactly what I think the Bible was saying. I think the Bible was saying it's a fruit of the Spirit. And just like my brother Caleb gave this example one time. He's a pastor and he gave this example in church. When a tree bears fruit, it's a natural occurrence. A tree doesn't have to strain to bear fruit. A tree naturally bears fruit. Forgiveness is a fruit of the Spirit. It's a natural occurrence. When you see the heart of somebody, forgiveness happens. In fact, don't worry about forgiveness. Forgiveness will take care of itself. That's God's business if He wants to cause you to forgive somebody. But you can do this. You can seek to understand people. You can seek to understand your partner. And if you're watching these videos, you're already way ahead of the curve. You're already expressing love in that you're seeking to understand your partner, because you definitely wouldn't be listening to me if you didn't care. So I just want to say most people really are doing the best they can with what they know, and if we know more, we can do better. We automatically will do better, because people are good. Men are good and women are good. And so I think that's all I have to say today, so I'll speak to you next time. Thanks.